The alarm blared through the Galactic Academy's residential wing at 0300 hours, sending waves of panic through the dormitories. Security Chief Darren Holt sprinted down the corridor, his forearms gesturing rapidly at his subordinates as they sealed every exit. His violet carapace gleamed under the emergency lights, antennae twitching with barely contained stress. "All cadets remain in your quarters," his voice boomed through the comm system. "We have a Code 7 situation. I repeat, Code 7. Behind the reinforced doors, alien students from a dozen species huddled in terror. A Code 7 meant one thing: apex predators loose in the facility. Specifically, 3 Carthax cubs, creatures so dangerous that their homeworld was quarantined by Galactic Council decree. How in the void did they escape the xenobiology lab? Holt demanded, scanning his tactical display. The cubs' tracking signatures had vanished 2 hours ago, and every moment they remained free increased the danger exponentially. Carthax were pack hunters, even as juveniles. Their razor-sharp claws could slice through standard armor, and their venom could paralyze species 3 times their size. "Sir, we've searched the entire western wing," reported Officer Kellis, her scales flushed orange with anxiety. "No sign of them. They're not showing up on thermal scans either." Holt's mandibles clicked in frustration. The cubs were adapting already, masking their heat signatures somehow. This was worse than he'd feared. His eyes fell on the dormitory roster, scanning through the names until one made him pause. Cadet Nira Solon, human. Room 247B. A cold calculation ran through his mind. Humans were the newest species admitted to the Academy, and their reputation preceded them. Deathworlders, they called themselves, a term the galactic community found both fascinating and horrifying. Their planet was a nightmare of competing apex predators, extreme weather, and deadly flora. Somehow humanity had not only survived but thrived. "The human cadet," Holt said slowly. "Her room is in the eastern wing, correct? The unsearched section?" "Yes, sir, but surely you don't think—" "I think," Holt interrupted, "that if those cubs encountered a human, we might be looking at a bloodbath. Or worse." He'd read the incident reports from other Academy stations. Humans were unpredictable, capable of both remarkable compassion and terrifying violence. "We go there next. Full tactical gear." The security team assembled outside room 247B within minutes, pulse weapons drawn, shields activated. Holt raised his hand, preparing to override the door lock when a sound froze everyone in place. Purring. Deep, rumbling, unmistakable purring echoed from within the room. "What in the 7 hells?" Officer Kellis whispered. Holt's antennae flattened against his head in confusion. Carthax didn't purr. They growled, hissed, and shrieked, but never purred. He slowly lowered his weapon and pressed the door chime instead. "Cadet Solon, this is Security Chief Holt. Open your door immediately." Shuffling sounds came from within, followed by a distinctly human yawn. The door slid open, revealing Cadet Nira Solon standing in standard-issue sleep attire, her dark hair disheveled, brown eyes squinting against the corridor lights. "Chief, it's 3 in the morning. What's going on?" Holt pushed past her, weapon ready, and stopped dead in his tracks. On Nira's bed, curled together in a tangled pile of fur and contentment, were the 3 missing Carthax cubs. Their crystalline claws were retracted, their venomous fangs hidden behind peaceful expressions. One of them, the largest, cracked, open a golden eye, regarded the armed security team with obvious disinterest, and went back to sleep. "You." Holt's translator seemed to malfunction along with his ability to form coherent thoughts. Nira rubbed her eyes and padded over to her desk, retrieving a data pad. "Oh, the Carthax cubs? Yeah, they showed up around midnight. Poor things. We're terrified. Someone left their enclosure's sonic deterrent running. The high-frequency sound was hurting them." She sat on the edge of her bed, and the smallest cub immediately crawled into her lap, nuzzling against her stomach. "I filed a welfare complaint with the xenobiology department an hour ago. Haven't heard back yet." "Terrified?" Kellis repeated faintly. "Those are apex predators." "They're babies," Nira corrected gently, scratching behind the small cub's ear analogs. It purred louder. Scared babies who needed somewhere safe to sleep. I turned off my thermal regulator to make the room warmer for them. Their species needs higher ambient temperatures than humans do. Holt slowly lowered his weapon, his mind struggling to process the scene before him. The most dangerous juvenile predators in known space, the creatures that had caused a facility-wide lockdown, were sleeping on a human's bed like domesticated Tamecats. What did you? He gestured helplessly at the purring pile of death. Nira shrugged. I just talked to them calmly, showed them I wasn't a threat, gave them some of my protein rations. Turns out Carthax cubs love synthesized chicken. Then I made a nest out of my extra blankets. She smiled, a peculiarly human expression that showed teeth but somehow conveyed warmth rather than threat. They're actually really sweet once they trust you. Sweet, Holt repeated numbly. Code 7 apex predators. Sweet. Back on Earth, I had 3 dogs and 2 cats growing up, Nira continued as if she were discussing the weather rather than diffusing an interstellar incident. My family lived near tiger territory too. You learn to read animal behavior, understand body language, respect their boundaries. These cubs weren't being aggressive, they were frightened and in pain. The largest cub stretched, yawned wide enough to display rows of crystalline fangs, then flopped its head onto Nira's thigh with absolute trust. Officer Kellis slowly holstered her weapon. In my 16 years of security work, I have never seen anything like this. That's humans for you, said a familiar voice from the corridor. Professor Zeleth, the xenobiology department head, squeezed past the security team on his tentacles. His eye stalks focused on the peaceful scene with something approaching religious awe. I told the council we needed to study human-animal interaction protocols more carefully. This is unprecedented. Holt's translator finally caught up with his thoughts. Cadet Solon, you turned off a containment alarm, harbored escaped specimens, and failed to report a Code 7 situation. Do you understand the severity? Chief, Professor Zeleth interrupted. Those cubs are displaying social bonding behaviors I've only seen in Carthax family units. In one night, this human achieved what our department has been trying to accomplish for 3 years. Peaceful contact with a Carthax juvenile. Do you have any idea what this means for interspecies diplomacy? Nira looked uncomfortable with the attention. I really just wanted them to feel safe. Can they stay until morning? They're finally getting proper rest. Holt looked at his team, at the purring cubs, at the human cadet whose actions had somehow transformed a nightmare scenario into whatever this was. His antennae twitched in what might have been the Krellian equivalent of a resigned sigh. They can stay, he said finally, but I'm posting guards outside your door. To protect me from them or them from everyone else? Nira asked knowingly. Holt didn't answer, because they both already knew. As the security team withdrew, Officer Kellis whispered to her chief, Sir, remind me never to underestimate a human again. Holt watched through the doorway as Nira settled back into bed, the 3 deadly predators arranging themselves around her like protective guardians. Too late, he murmured. We all already have. The door slid shut and the purring continued.